Let's turn this 2D image reference into a 3D character in Blender 4. So let's get down to it. So the first step is going to be to bring our reference image. I'd like first to delete everything that we got. We can press A, X, and delete everything. Next, I'd like to be facing the front of our scene. So we can press 1 on the numpad. So this way we're going to be on the front orthographic. Alright, so the next step is going to be to drag our reference image. We can simply drag it and drop it here. So I'd like to make it centered. So let's center it here into the grid. Perfect. So now our character is going to be standing. So the next step is going to be to add one single vertex. We can press Shift A. Let's go to Mesh and we can start with the plane. So we can select this plane, switch to edit mode by pressing Tab. You can select one single vertex and we can press Ctrl I to reverse the selection. And we can press X and delete those vertices. So now we are left with just one single vertex. So let me just press 1 and we can start modeling it. So I'd like to put this vertex here and we can start extruding. So let's press E to extrude and we can keep extruding like this to make that turn. So let's go all the way till the top here. Alright, so the next step, let me just take this one a little bit to the left side. Next we can duplicate this vertex, so Shift D to duplicate it. We have to form the shape of our head. We can drag it down and let's extrude it like this. So as you know, the head needs to be inside our hat. So we can extrude it like this and continue the head turn. Something like this is going to be accurate. And the last step to do is going to be to model the hat. So let's duplicate this vertex again, Shift D, duplicate it. We can put it here and let's keep extruding like this. So here we can go down. So all you have to do is just follow that shape, the edge line of our reference image. So keep extruding until we reach the top. Here we can press G to move this vertex. Alright, so this is the edge line that we got. We can just hide the reference so that we can see it, but actually it's visible. You can just leave it this way. So the next step, we're going to be using the screw modifier. So we have to adjust first the position, the center position. So let me press 1. I'd like to grab all the vertices that we got on the left side like this. And we have to put them in one line. So we can try SX and press 0. So this way they will be all aligned. Alright, so next we have to adjust the center point. So we can select one of these vertices. We can press Shift S, cursor to select it. And let me just go back to the objects mode. We can go to objects, set origin, and origin to the 3D cursor. Nice. So the next step is going to be to add the screw modifier. So here on the modifiers, let's add a new modifier. It's going to be the screw. You can search for this one here. And there we go. We got similar shape to our character. So next step, you can apply some tweakings. I'd like to apply the screw modifier. And next what I'd like to do, I'd like to add the subdivision surface modifier to give it more details. So let's add it here. So subdivision. This modifier right here. So this way, gonna have a clean model. So let's increase that to 2. And next what I'd like to do, I'd like to work a little bit on the hat. So you can press Z, switch to the wireframe. You can switch to the edit mode. So I'd like to grab it from here. You can select these 2 vertices and we can move them up. But here I'd like to use the proportion editing tool. So let's activate it from here and we can move it up. But here I don't want to affect the head. So the way to isolate the head is by checking this option that we got here, connected only. So this way we're going to be moving only the head like this. You can scroll the mouse if you want to increase that circle. And now we're good. We can press 1. Press Z, switch wireframe, and let's take it up here. So now it's touching that reference image. Here we can select the side. So I think these 2 points, and we can drag them a little bit down. GZ, let's push them down. Alright, so the next step to do, so since our character is symmetrical, so let me just print the reference image. Here on the bottom we can slide up, and we can switch this menu to the image editor, just so that we can keep an eye on our mushroom character. You can just click here and see. So as you can see, our character is symmetrical. So what I want you to do is to work only on one side. For example, we can cut it from half and we can add the mirror modifier. So let's go ahead and do that. So I will actually press 1. We can press Tab to switch to edit mode with our character selected. You can press Z, switch to wireframe, and I would like to select only the left side. And after that we can press X and delete those vertices. So next what we have to do, we can add the mirror modifier. So let's add a new modifier. It's gonna be the mirror. So we're having this bump that we got here. So the way to get rid of it is by switching the order of the modifiers. So we need to have the mirror first, and then we have to apply the subdivision modifier. So now it's going to be good. So if you apply any change to the right side, so if, for example, if you take, let me just deactivate proportion editing tool. So if you take this one forward, going to be having the same effect on the left side. So now that you work on the eyes, so we can switch here to the face mode, and I want you first to select these 4 faces that we got here. You can keep holding shift so that you can select them all, and after that we can press I to create that inset like this. So after that, I'd like to make this shape circular, so we can select these edge lines or these vertices on the edge, and we can try to scale them down by pressing S like this. After that, we can select again these 4 faces, and we can just delete them. X, delete them. So now we got the eye socket, so let's work on it. So first I'd like to give it this oval shape. So what we can do, we can simply try to drag these vertices. So as you can see here, it's a little bit hard to work with these vertices. They are hidden. So what we can do here in the subdivision modifier, we can check this on cage. So just check it. So this way we're going to be seeing all those vertices. So I'm going to just select them all, just the one on the edges, and we can try SX to scale them a little bit down. And let me just push them a little bit to the left side here. So next step is going to be to extrude them backwards. So we can press E to extrude and press Y to go inside. We can do that another time, and we can try to scale it a little bit down here. That is nice. So next step, I would like to add some interesting shape on the edge line. So we can press here Ctrl R to insert an edge loop like this. And we can add another edge loop on the inside. So Ctrl R again here. You can press G to move this edge line, slide it a little bit backward, and we can move it on the inside. You can try G, Y, and move it back. So this way we're going to be forming this outer edge. It's going to look nice. Also here on the outside, to make this edge a little bit sharper, we can add an extra edge loop. Or actually we can do this, we can press Alt here, let me press N, we can go to item, and let me increase this mean crease here. We can increase it to 0.35. Let's exit edit mode and let's take a look at it. Nice. So next step is going to be to add eyeballs. So let's do that. So I'm going to press Alt here to have the cursor right at the center. So Shift S, cursor to select it. And we can do Shift A, and I'd like to bring a UV sphere. So for the size of the UV sphere, we have to scale it down, but for the segments and the rings, we can reduce them down. So let's just add the /2 so that we can divide it by 2. Same thing here, we can divide it by 2. So 16 by 8. Because we are already applying the subdivision modifier, so there is no need to add more geometry. So here I'd like to spin around this sphere, so RY or RX, and we can type 90 degree. After that, we can just scale it down here. Let me press 1 so that we can be facing, our character. So here I'd like to, let me just push it inside. You can drag it a little bit sideways here, GY. Let's push it inside. You can try to scale it a little bit down, push it outside. So just take your time to well position it. So here you can try to spin it a little bit on the Z axis. That's nice. So let's do right click, shade smooth, and also we can try to improve the eye socket. So for example, I'm going to take this part, you can activate the proportion editing tool. So make sure it's connected only, and we can drag it a little bit down. Let me just reduce the size of that circle. So something like this. So now it is perfectly matching. Not perfectly, let me just work a little bit here. That is nice. So now I'd like to work on the mouth of our character. We're going to just create a basic mouth shape. So I'm going to be selecting these 2 faces, and we can try E to create an inset, but we have to delete this face. Let me just delete it. And here on the mirror modifier, we have to be checking this clipping so that we can stop here right at the middle. So we need to stop right here. All right, after that, I'd like to select these faces. You can drag them a little bit sideways. So here, let's deactivate the proportion editing tool. So something like this, we can try to push it outside, so GY. And we can just delete it. So let's press X and delete that part. Okay, we got a big mouth, so we have to work on it. So let me just try to scale it down. Something like that. All right, so let's give it the right shape. So I'd like to, we can press 1 to go to the front. You can try to make it smiling here. exactly like what we got in the reference image here. Nice. So it's good to push the top section of the mouth outside, while these we can push them back here. We can try to spin them, so RX, spin them a little bit on the x-axis. So that looks a little bit weird, but we can work on it even more. So this part here, I'm gonna try to push it backward. This one, let's push it inside, outside. Alright, so the next step, it's gonna be to press Alt here, and we can try EY to extrude. You can extrude it backward like this. So we have to do 2 extrusions. So for this first part, we can, for example, drag it a little bit down here to create that lip. And here I want you to do this. We can select again these edge lines, and we can press N to access this item. And here I'd like to increase the mean crease up something like 0.6. So this way we're going to be sharpening out that edge. And as you can see, our mouth starts to look good. Same thing here on the bottom. So what we have to do, I'm going to take this edge, drag it a little bit down. Take this one, we can lift it up, and we can push it outside. So the mouth, so just keep experimenting with it till you got some interesting results. So next we can switch to the vertex mode here, and we can try to push this vertex a little bit to the left side to have that nice bottom lip, something like that. Maybe that's too much. Let me just bring it back. This one here, you can push it a little bit backward. Something like that looks nice. Also for the cheeks, we can try to push them a little bit outside to have that cuteness. And just press GY to move them outside. This way, you can be having those cheeks popping up. Also here for the eyes, I don't want them to be popping up like this. So on the edit mode, we can select the eye. Let me just press Alt A to make sure that everything is deselected. Let's select only the eye. We can try to scale it on the Y, so SY, like this, and we can push it a little bit here. We can just leave it here. And let me select this point. We can activate the proportion editing tool, and we can try to move it a little bit back. Let me just zoom here. That is nice. So the next step is going to be to add the arms of our character. So let's go ahead and work on them. So I'd like to work on this circle that we got here, on this sphere. So I'm going to be selecting these 4 faces that we got here. You can press I again to form that inset, and we have to make it, give it that circular shape. So this is important. Let me just select these 4 vertices, and we can try to scale them down without the proportion editing tool to keep that circular shape. So this is essential, something like that. And after that, we can select these 4 faces, and we need to flatten them a little bit. So we can try SY or SX. You can try to flatten them just a bit like this. You can push them outside, flatten again, smoothly like this. You can just, let me just press O again. You can lift it up here. Alright, so the next step is going to be to extrude this part. So let's extrude it, and we have to spin it. We have to spin it on the Y. So RY, you can spin it, but without the proportion editing tool. So RY, something like this. You can extrude one more time, and we can drag down. But here at this top, so we have to push it even down here. Alright, so that's nice. So let's just carry on. I'm going to be selecting these 4 faces again. Press 1. You can try to spin it, scale it down, extrude one more time, and we can scale it down here at the end. Alright, so let's check the shape of our hand. So that's why I asked you to make it circular. So here what we can do, I'm gonna drag these down, so GZ, you can push them down like this. Here on the side, so the arm looks a little bit huge, so you can try SY to push it back, something like that. So now we got that shape. It looks pretty much good. So what we can do at the end, so we can add the hand. So now I'd like to add the hands. So on the edit mode, we can select this part to form the thumb, this thumb that we got here. So it's easy. I'm gonna just extrude it outside. So this way we're gonna be forming that thumb. We can make it again circular. So let me try, I'm gonna try to select these two vertices, scale them down like this. So this way we're gonna be having, this shape looks like a finger. That's good. Next we have to extrude the fingers. So you can select this part and we can extrude it outside, but we need to make it smaller. So let me select this part here. Same thing for these two edges, we can extrude them like this. Oops, let's select the entire face, extrude them again, drag down. And here we can spin it on the Y, so RY, can spin it around. So here we can try to push this part a little bit outside, and we got the shape of the hand. It's not perfect, but it resembles to a hand. So here we can push them outside. Let me press 1 to check it. So we have to scale the hand position or the hand size. So we can switch here to the vertex mode. Can try to scale it up like this. Switch back to solid and let me check. There we go. There we go. We got the shape of our hand. So next step is going to be to add the foots of our character. So the foots, they are separate objects. So what we can do on the edit mode, let me select this vertex here, Shift S, cursor selected, Ctrl Shift A, and we can bring a cube. Also here for the mirror, I'd like to uncheck the clipping so that we can be able to scale down this object. Alright, let me just push it here, Ctrl SX, and push it to the right side like this. And after that we can select the bottom. Let me select the bottom edge lines. And what we can do, we can make them a little bit sharper. So we can press N again, go to the item, for the increase value, you can increase it up. Something like 0.4. And we have to scale down this size of the foot. Try SX, push it up like this. So next what we have to do, we have to spin it. So let me also try to spin it, scale it on the Y. This, and we can try to spin it on the Z by, let's say, minus 35 degree or minus, or RZ, let's give it 10. So now it's spin by minus 45, not 35. There we go. We can do right click in shade smooth. And we got our character. So all we have to do right now is to add the clothing. So next I'd like to work on the clothing of our character. So let's give it some clothes. So here I'd like to, let's start first by the pants. So the pants, what we can do, I'm going to be selecting this bottom. We can press Alt here, click to have that edge line, Shift Alt, and let's select them all like this. Same thing here for the bottom. So we can press Shift D to duplicate this part, and we can press P to separate selection. So this way we're going to be having this object separated. So next we would like to give it some thickness. Right now it's very thin. So what we can do, we can add a new modifier. So let's go to the modifiers. We can add a new modifier. It's going to be the solidify modifier. This one right here. So this way we're going to be giving it that depth. We can increase the size of it, but I think something like this is going to be accurate. So next we can lift it up a little bit, exactly like we got here. So on the edit mode, we can, let me just check on cage here. So you can see that geometry. We can select this vertex. We can activate the proportion editing tool. And we can try to lift it up just a bit like that. Also here to avoid this clipping, you can push this part outside back. That's nice. Can lift it up like this. So here I'd like to add the t-shirt or this jacket that he's wearing. So we can select, let me just select all these faces around the arm. So here, let's select everything. Also here at the top, we can select them all. So I think it's going to be better if we hide this object. So let's hide the pants and let's work on this alone. So let's select them all like this. You can press Shift D to duplicate this part. You can press P to separate selection. So now this new object is separated. Next, what we can do, we can add the solidify modifier. So let's search for solidify again. And we can increase that thickness. Let me increase it up. Something like that. Here for the bottom, let me just check again the on cage. Here for the bottom, let me just select. Here, let me switch to wireframe so that we can be able to grab the bottom. Okay. And we can move it down with the proportion editing tool enabled. So let's just take it down like this. Okay, but I prefer here to scale this part. We can press Alt, try to scale it a little bit up. Scale it up like this. We can try RY to avoid this clipping. So RY to pop it up on the right side. There we go. It looks nice. We got a nice t-shirt here. So let me just bring back the pants, the hidden pants here. So we have to work on it to avoid the clipping here. So we can select this part and we can try to push it outside again. So let's push it like this. Okay, for the pants, we can push them inside, especially this part. Let me just switch to the wireframe. We can select this part here and we can try to push it inside. That is nice. Also here we can try to bring back this part like that. There we go. So the jacket looks nice.